Hi, Standers. This is Sheila Hollinger with Marriage Revealed Ministries. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to talk about what does trusting God look like. And I want to invite you, if you are not a subscriber, to please subscribe to our channel. And if you want to support, just simply give the video a thumbs up. That would greatly be appreciated. So, many of us, when digging into scriptures, have read Jeremiah 17:7, where it talks about what trusting the Lord looks like, right? How we're blessed. But we don't really dig deeper into the verses right before it about what happens to people who don't trust in the Lord. So we're going to combine these scriptures together and we're going to talk about what does trusting God look like. So recently I was faced with a couple situations where, I had that crossroad. It is really a decision that you have to make minute by minute sometimes, with each detail, which with each new day, you have to make a decision on if you're going to choose the path of trust. Sometimes we don't really realize that the what we're doing, what we're thinking, how we're believing, what we're walking out in our daily lives is not a path of trust. It's just a path of following what we may have always followed, doing what we've always done, thinking about certain ways, right? Our thought patterns tend to lean toward what we believe in, what we put our hope in, what we put our faith in. And sometimes that is completely contrary to trusting in God. So let's start. Jeremiah 17:5. This is the amplified version. Thus says the Lord, cursed is the man who trusts in and relies on mankind, making weak, faulty human flesh his strength, and whose mind and heart turn away from the Lord. For he will be like a shrub in the parched desert, and shall not see prosperity when it comes, but shall live in the rocky places of the wilderness in an uninhabited salt land. So the Lord is saying that if you put your trust and you rely on man, if you put your strength in that, your mind, your heart turns away from God, right? You're putting your mind and your heart focused, narrowed, zeroed in. And a lot of times we don't realize that when we are analyzing the behaviors of our spouses, when we're analyzing and we get caught ruminating, when we get caught thinking, when we get caught talking over and over about situations, that we're really putting our heart, our mind, our focus on people. And we're trying to solve problems. We're trying to figure things out. And a lot of times that is actually contrary to what is going to bring the actual help. And I think back to how much time I wasted and missed opportunities. And that's what this video is really about missed opportunities. When someone hurts you, when someone does something, and you spend so many hours, waking hours, thinking about why did they do that? What could this mean? Are they ever going to change? And you just go over and over and over and you think about, how can I get them to change? What can I say to them? What can I do? And then you can even dig deeper into that. Did they ever love me, or was this behavior always here? I mean, you could go down this path endlessly, and then you can bring in other people into this conversation, and now you've got them digging, analyzing, and that is almost like what the Lord is saying, cursed. There's no help here until you get someone to bring in the other end of the story here, right? The other factor in is, and that is where you say, you know what, let's get our minds and our hearts off of them and let's start talking about God. What can God do in this situation? So that is the way we shift focus off of the people, off of mankind, off of the power that they have, and start shifting it. Because I know for myself, when I start talking and looking at my situations, my problems, they become bigger and bigger and insurmountable, and they start to grow into these giants, and they become impossible, and God starts to shrink. Not that he is shrinking, but my decision to not focus on him makes him shrink in my mind. Okay, I never want to put out the idea that God shrinks. There's absolutely no way that God shrinks. Evil makes us think he is shrinking. Putting our heart and our focus on things that are contrary to him, diminish him in our heart, in our belief, right? Our faith shrinks, our belief shrinks, our trust, our confidence shrinks. He does not shrink. Now, how do you get that back? You have to focus on Him and make your faith grow, your confidence grow, your trust grow. So it's so important that we don't ruminate about the things that are bothering us, because we make that steal from us, right? We make God become less and less capable in our eyes. And that's not trusting in the Lord. And so when we are faced with a problem, I'm finding recently the best thing that I could do is say, you know what, Lord, I have to give this to you. I'm not giving up, but I'm surrendering it to you. And those are two completely different things. Giving up is not even focusing on God. It's just walking away from God, walking away from the complete entire situation and giving up. Surrendering is when you choose to hand God what you are not capable of changing, what you're not capable of understanding, what you're not capable of fixing. Handing God and handing it over to Him and saying, God, I can't do this, but I know you can. I'm not giving up because I still believe this is fixable. Giving up says, I'm done. I don't believe this ever can be fixed. And we see people out there literally giving up, not surrendering. There's a huge difference. So when you surrender to the Lord, where do you go from there? What does surrendering look like? And sometimes surrendering is just simply saying, you know what? I have full confidence, full assurance in you, Lord, that you are more than capable of changing the mind, heart, focus, direction that my lost spouse is going. They are not impossible to you. They may feel impossible to me, but that is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It only matters that you know it's not impossible. And I'm going to trust in that. I'm going to believe in that. I'm going to know that you can do it. Just speaking those things the way I just spoke to myself just encouraged me, right? I just brought encouragement to my faith, to my trust. Now, if I would have sat here and talked about all of the things that are weighing me down, if I would have started speaking about every little detail that my situations, right? If I would have started saying this is what is being done and that is what's being done and this is the direction and that is the direction, man, I would have just discouraged myself. And I would have taken your ability away to be encouraged as well. I would have discouraged you. And we don't realize that that's what we do when we're sharing our discouragement. We're sharing our lack of faith, our lack of trust, our lack of hope with others. Yes, I get it. We need to be able to be open and honest and share with others, but there's got to be balance. There's got to be balance when you only are talking about all of the wrong things and never change the conversation and bring God in. You've got to start bringing God in. Listen to yourselves. Go over those conversations. Are you cursing yourself by constantly relying on what you're thinking, what you're feeling? Verse 7, blessed with spiritual security is the man who believes and trusts in and relies on the Lord, and whose hope and confident expectations is the Lord. For he will be nourished like a tree planted by the waters, that spreads out its roots by the river and will not fear the heat. There is so much in these verses. So much. You won't fear when it comes, but its leaves will be green and moist, and it will not be anxious and concerned in a year of drought, nor stop bearing fruit. There's so much truth in these verses. What spiritual security will do for you. You've got a choice, you've got an opportunity to make those decisions. Today, I am not going to trust and rely on what I see my spouse doing. I'm not going to trust and rely on what is going on in the court system right now. I'm making the choice to get secure in Him, who He is. Build up your confidence. Stop talking about every decision, every choice your spouse is doing and how they're operating. Make the decision to say, you know what, Lord, I am surrendering this situation, my beloved, to you, and I'm going to focus on me and what I can do with you, where I can go with you, where my expectations can be in who you are and how you love us and how you think about us and how you feel about us and how you are pursuing. And if I don't know those things, why don't I know those things? Why don't I believe in those things? We can get so distracted that we don't even realize we have a belief problem. We're so distracted by everything that's going on in our spouses, we are not even understanding that we have a serious belief problem. It's because we're thinking about the wrong thing. And we tend to think about things we believe in. Think about, what are you thinking about? Where are your thoughts taking you day after day, moment by moment? Because what you trust in, you will constantly think about too. And I realized that sometimes in certain areas in my life, I've still not trusted God with it. Or I've trusted it for enough time, but guess what? It didn't come to the outcome I was looking for. So I took my trust back, put it in myself, started thinking of things myself, and I went down those rabbit holes and didn't even realize that I had completely taken back what I had been trying to give to God. So it's time to regroup, refocus, readjust. Lord, I need to trust you again. And I need to get my heart and my mind on myself, and I need to make those decisions every day to see this as an opportunity to trust in you. So let's talk about some of the ways that we can see, are we trusting God? Some of the opportunities that become missed by us when our focus is on things that we shouldn't be focused on. When our focus is on mankind and relying on mankind, and that includes ourselves. So, some of the things that our trust will reveal is if we're taking the path, if we're taking the path of fear, those are things that we can work on. When we're looking at situations and instead of talking it out with God, we're talking it out with other people, and we're trusting in some of the fears that we're having, and we're trusting in, convincing them that this is an impossible situation, and we're discouraging other people because our fears are getting the best of us. when we are trusting in God and surrendering our situation, and then we find ourselves saying, okay, I've just trusted, I've just surrendered this, and now I don't know what to do. I don't know where to put my mind. I don't know where to put my focus. Sometimes not picking something else up will put you right back in a place where you pick up what's going on with your spouse. It's like those scriptures that said that if when you sweep your house clean, the enemy, comes back and finds an empty house. You've got to fill it up, right? You've got to fill up your mind. So surrender is only going to work when you find something new to focus on. Sometimes we swap one bad way of thinking for another bad way. Okay, I'm not going to focus on this anymore, but I'm going to start focusing on this. And next thing you know, you're still, discouraging yourself. You've got to focus on what is good, what is pure, what is lovely, what is higher kingdom ways. And these are all things that should encourage you, teach you about you and your relationship with God. Where are you lacking? Where are you having some issues? And it starts with just simple prayer time with the Lord, saying, Lord, you are my teacher. You and I'm trusting in you. You know what's going on in my garden, where my weeds are, where my boulders are, where I'm not being watered, where I'm not being fed, where I'm not being nourished. Where am I struggling in my faith? I need to know these things about myself. Where am I letting fear come in and destroy me? And all of these places, now these are places that you can't shift the blame on your spouse. You can say, my spouse did this and it caused my fears, my insecurities to become known to me. Okay, so now what happens normally is instead of saying my spouse did this, and then you stay on that path, always about the spouse. Now you recognize, okay, I'm scared and it triggered me and it did this to me. But instead of letting the spouse go and putting the spouse aside for a minute, now following that path of why am I still triggered and where is the fear coming and where is my belief and digging, you're still focused on the spouse and what they did and blaming the spouse. You've done nothing constructive in the healing and figuring out, okay, that triggered my spouse did this. It caused me to feel this. Now you're at a crossroad. Do I stay stuck on what the spouse did, or do I stay on what opened up and was revealed to me? Why am I afraid? Why am I being triggered? Let the spouse go. Pursue this other path of opportunity you've just been given. Go into prayer and say, Lord, this is what happened. My spouse did this, and it opened a door of fear, insecurity, worry. And why am I feeling that? What's going on in me? Start pursuing. I hope I made it clear that sometimes we just get stuck on the blaming and we never shift our focus to what's going on with me. That blame opened up an opportunity for you to dig deep, for you to get some healing, for you to get some growth, for you to explore what am I lacking with the Lord that I need to really figure out? Why can't I overcome this in this area? Am I still believing that God is not capable of changing my spouse in this area? Am I still believing in what my fear tells me? Am I still believing and trusting in myself? Am I aggravated that I'm still in year whatever, still going through the same thing? So when your spouse does something and it triggers you to have a response, you either stay in that response and make no progress whatsoever in your growth, your spiritual maturity, your relationship with God, if you stay stuck in the response. It opened up a door of insecurity. It opened up a door of fear. It opened up a door of anxiety. It opened up a door of anger. And you stay there and you don't go forward. Or you take the right path and you say, okay, that did this, and now I'm going to go to God with this, and I'm going to grow. And I'm going to dig, and I'm going to find out what the heck is going on in my heart. And that is trusting in God, because you've surrendered your spouse and what they did to God, right? You've surrendered it to Him. You did not give up. You surrendered, and now you're taking the opportunity And that's what this is really about. That's how your roots become nourished and you start digging deeper into Him. And the next time your spouse does that, guess what? It's not going to bring the same results to you. You're going to be stronger. You're going to be more capable because you see how He is capable and He is able. You're confident in Him. You're going to expect God. You're going to expect different things from God. You're not going to be affected by your spouse the same way you've always been affected. That's what surrendering looks like. When growth comes, opportunity comes. So look at every single thing that comes your way as an opportunity, choices that you can make. Don't keep blaming your spouse. Yes, they are doing things that are bringing you to a crossroad on how you respond, how you look at it. Are you going to forgive? Are you going to follow the path of, one way or the other? What are you going to choose for yourself? And are you going to be an influencer? That is such a big deal. Are you going to take the hurt and the pain, the frustrations, the anxieties, the worry, the fear? Are you going to spread those to all of those around you? Some of you don't realize how much your children watch you and they get their cues. They get their cues from you. And if they see you devastated and hurting and upset and going through things, that's where some of their anger and their resentments are coming from, and they don't want anything to do with the spouse anymore, with their father, with their mother, because they can't handle the pain. And I'm not saying that it's your fault because, yeah, we had a lot of pain and we didn't know how to do it. We didn't know how to handle it. We didn't know how to process it. It is never too late to start sharing with your children your growth, your strength, your confidence in God. But if you are constantly being an influencer to your children in the wrong way and teaching them that we talk about the problems, we magnify the problems, we talk about the sin, and we just go this path and we never see the opportunity. You have a choice to show them your opportunity in God, to become confident in God. And you have a great opportunity to confess when you've made wrong choices. Share with them, I didn't realize it, but I was so fixed and focused because of my hurt, but I didn't know this other way. And now I found this other way. And I'm putting all my hope in God and I'm surrendering. Teach them the difference between surrender and giving up. Teach them the difference between forgiveness and holding grudges and bitterness. Be that influencer to not only your children, but to others who love your spouse and are deeply hurt and wounded by their actions. Sometimes people just are so unsure on how to. I can't change this person, so I'm done, and I want you to be done, and I don't want you to ever go back to them because I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to process this. So they just go to giving up. And then they get mad when they find out you're not giving up too. Teach them there's a difference between surrender and giving up. And say, it's okay. I get it. You don't know how to do this. It's okay. You can give up. But please don't ask me to. Just support that I'm surrendering this to God and I'm working on me. Show those that are around you that your heart and your fixation is on God. Okay? Show them that you are putting your faith and your trust in God and that you care about what God cares about. And He cares about the lost. If they are so adamant against your marriage restoration, show them that you are putting your focus on the relationship that your lost spouse has with the Lord. And you're focused on that. You're focused on relationship first. Let them know I'm putting the marriage on the back burner. I just want my spouse to know Jesus. That is what is the most important thing. And I pray that you will join me and you will be praying because you know what? If my marriage never gets restored, my spouse is still going to be a parent to our children. And I want them to be a godly parent. I want them to be surrendered to the Lord. Please don't give up on them. Pray that they turn their heart back to Jesus, to know him. So she will at least be a godly influence. Because right now, they're not. So if you don't want to believe for my marriage restoration, okay, that's on you. That's fine. But believe for them to have their relationship restored with the Lord. Join me in that. These are the conversations. You can be such an influencer and know where your audience is, those people that are surrounding you that really can't handle hearing about how your spouse hurts you over and over and over. Some people, they just can't handle it. I learned real quick who was quick to just say divorce, 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 get rid of them. Well, okay, so I get rid of him, but guess what? He's still a parent to our 3 children. That's not an option to me. It's not an option to me. So we got to be real with people and say, okay, fine, if you want to cut him off and write him off as being my husband, but what are you going to do about him being a parent to our children? You can't cut that off, even if they've cut themselves off, right? So I love it when you can see yourself. Stop saying I'm being influenced by others and start to see yourself as the influencer, speaking the word, teaching people the word, what the word really says, what God's heart is really about. And if they don't want to hear it, that's okay. We know what the word says. Behave. Win them over with your behavior. And I don't mean the behavior where you're a basket case, because that is going to influence people. We have a whole community of standers that get you, understand you, support you. On our Facebook group, Standers United, we have 7,000 members in there. You have a safe place to go where people will understand what you're going through, and they are not going to tell you contrary to what God is telling you. And if they do, we have a whole beautiful, smart, dedicated group of moderators that will come right in and change that conversation and encourage you to do what the Lord is directing you to do. On our Facebook group, it is a private group, 7,000 members of support. There's no reason that you need to surround yourself with people who are discouraging you, trying to influence you to give up when you have the opportunity to be supported. Now, if you're not on Facebook, we also have this group right here, this YouTube channel. Again, 7,000 subscribers. You can go in the comments. Be careful if the name of your account, it is public. So I don't know if you can change the name, okay? I don't know if you can change the name on your account to make it more anonymous, but you can even read the comments and get support, right? There is ways of getting support. Speaking of that, men's group tonight. There is a men's Zoom. We do Zooms. A couple of our men standers. You want to be part of that. All you have to do is send me an email. It's in the link in the description. Our email, it's on our website, admin@marriagerevealedministries.com. Send me an email and let me know. I want to be added to the Zoom notification list. If you are a gentleman, if you're a man stander, we are having a meeting tonight. It is Saturday, January 28th, and there is a men's Zoom going on tonight where the men can get together and talk. We just had a prayer night on Tuesday. So if you want to be part of this, you do not have to be alone. These are anonymous. You could come into the Zooms, change your name, no picture, anonymous. You could just listen, be a fly on the wall. Some of them are recorded, but you won't be seen in that. You won't be heard in that. When I do my Zooms, I'm the only one that talks or the speaker that wants to be heard and put out on the videos. You can go and look through our videos. You will see they're anonymous. You don't see people in them unless they have said they want to be. You do not have to be alone. You do not have to be constantly turning to the wrong people who are sharing your fears and your doubts or bringing you fears and doubts, okay? So I just want to encourage you, start really focusing again. What are you trusting in? Who are you trusting in? And are you being cursed or blessed by that trust? Remember, trust will either curse you or bless you. You want to be spiritually secure in your trust. Again, if this content brought you some encouragement, please support us by just hitting the thank you, which is the thumbs up. That's all it is. If you hit a thumbs up, you're saying, "Thank you, Sheila. Thank you for bringing this message. I needed it." Or you can send me a comment in the comments below. God bless you. I am praying with you. I am standing with you for marriage revelation, for truth, for your spouse to come out of the darkness and be exposed to who he is and his love for them. I am praying these things in Jesus' name. Amen.